What's up, everybody? This is going to be a new series called Off the Snap by Opinionated Media and Opinionated Sports. This is going to basically be a show where we kind of discuss some quick hitting segments, some shorter videos for you guys. Obviously, if you're new here, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to check out some of the other shows we have on the platform, like Three Man Weave, 54 Yards, and then we also have some other shows the morning after or the week after. And we also have Chips and Slips coming this fall for more of the betting stuff for you guys. But in this first episode, I'm going to start it off ranking really in each Power Four conference all the quarterbacks and why I have them where they're at and kind of their strengths and weaknesses and maybe some expectations that you have or that I have for these quarterbacks. So if there's a quarterback of your favorite team, let me know in the comments why I'm wrong. Maybe why I'm right. Maybe I should move some guys up, have some guys lower. But I'm going to start it off in the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. Um, we're gonna go worst to best. I think this is the best way to kind of talk about some of these players. I think it is easy to get bored when you're kind of like, okay, I know who the top guys are in the conference and things like that, and it's easy to kind of move uh past these people and kind of not even talk about some of these people, and also some of the guys in the conference that are maybe at the lower end of the conference. But we're gonna start off. Deshaun Purdy, quarterback of Wake Forest. He transferred from Charlotte. Some of the strengths I have listed on here: he's an explosive dual threat. He has some big play upside, creative and confident with his legs, and he shows strong instincts on broken plays. Now, obviously, in today's day and age in college football, you need to have some elusive quarterbacks because the defensive line can really cause problems. You need somebody that can scramble, that can run around and create off script plays. He needs to develop as a pure passer. He kind of makes mistakes at times. Doesn't really have that ability to kind of shred you from within the pocket, and his accuracy and decision making needs some refinement. Some discussion points. If you're a Wake Forest fan, Wake Forest loves mobile QBs. Can Purdy follow the Sam Hartman path? He has a big time ceiling if the passing game can evolve. But I got him at 17. I got him as the worst quarterback going into 2025 in the ACC. Elijah Brown out of Stanford. Some strengths. He's a polished high school prospect with high IQ, great timing, and he has a feel for the game. And he has a calm demeanor. He's never really rushed. He looks smooth in the pocket, has some confidence, has some swagger to him. Some weaknesses: needs to bulk up, got to get a little bigger playing in the power forward. You don't want to get hit, thrown around, get injured. And he needs to add some velocity, which would naturally come with him bulking up. Limited escapability outside the pocket. And some discussion points I have written down. Stanford is rebuilding under true freshmen. Like, what's this going to look like? We obviously know Andrew Luck is the GM there, but Stanford isn't the Stanford that I grew up watching. They are a Stanford that is kind of the bottom feeder of the ACC, which is technically considered a weaker Power Four conference. In my opinion, I might think it's the worst right now, just top to bottom. But yeah, that's gonna be an interesting prospect, interesting quarterback to follow for Stanford. At 15, we got Devin Brown. Was a highly rated recruit at one point. He had played at Ohio State, got some tutelage under Ryan Day, but he has a strong arm. He can push the ball vertically. He's tough in the pocket, and he has natural leadership skills. Weaknesses are some of the turnover issues when he does play, and he's inconsistent. He's a former talent from Ohio State, so it's not like the talent wasn't there out of high school. Now the issue will be, can he break through? Cal had a ton of departures. Me being an Oklahoma fan, we got one of the best running backs in the country from California, Jaden Ott. Their quarterback also transferred to Indiana, so a lot, and then just a mass exodus. I think Texas got one of their top rated tight ends. So there was just players left and right leaving from that school. I think OU got a receiver as well. So we'll see what Cal's scheme can do. Obviously, Ron Rivera is the general manager over there. Can he bring that team to life? We'll just have to see. Dylan Lonergan, quarterback, Boston College, strengths, big time arm, good size, confident, and he's vocal on the field. Natural throw of the football. We like that. We like the good mechanics. We like that on a quarterback. So weaknesses, as I was talking about, kind of his mechanics, his footwork is a little inconsistent, which is kind of raw, and it naturally creates some inconsistency. He needs to adjust to the speed of Power Five defenses or Power Four defenses. But he has some high upside, so will Bill O'Brien allow him to kind of do this and take over? I think he can. I think he should. It's all kind of like a waiting game, a wait and see kind of deal. Steve Angeli, quarterback, transfer from Notre Dame. He's at Syracuse now. Some strengths: he's kind of a game manager. I mean, that's kind of how Notre Dame's always ran their offenses. He wasn't really starting there, and obviously he wasn't good enough to play because the last couple of years, Notre Dame has brought in some transfer quarterbacks. They brought in guys to kind of be that focal point for the team, and have actually led them to pretty solid seasons for the most part. But it sounds like he's just kind of your average quarterback, makes quick decisions, can throw a catchable ball, doesn't beat himself. Some of the weaknesses I have listed down, he lacks elite tools. So I think a lot of the big plays and things like that, explosiveness that you would like to see out of him is going to be limited. Now, however, Syracuse has shown, with the ability of last year with Kyle McCord, running some RPO and some things like that. They also got Jonte Cook out of the transfer portal. And they have an offense that's proven it works in the ACC, but more of this might fit this guy's skill set, RPO, quick game, things like that. Don't really have to throw the ball down the field, don't really have to push the ball down the field a ton. But we'll just kind of see if he's the true answer for Syracuse. Obviously, Syracuse had a good season last year, so you don't really want to see them take a step back this season. Gio Lopez, transfer quarterback out of South Alabama, now in North Carolina. Listen, if you're watching football during the week like me, I'm a sicko. I love it. I was watching Gio Lopez play at South Alabama. You know, very good quarterback for the most part. A decent athlete, a bigger quarterback, strong arm, quick release. He's confident. We obviously saw that. If you're watching him play. So I have, solid athlete, good command of the offense. Some of his weaknesses is he needs to sharpen timing and progression, and then he has some inconsistencies. See, he has some big shoes to fill. Drake May was there a couple years ago. North Carolina's been kind of inconsistent. They just fired Mac Brown last season, but they also hire arguably the best football coach of all time, and Bill Belichick, who has his own issues going on right now there. But I like this. I like this pickup for them. I think this is a good kind of bridge quarterback to kind of fill out the situation. You're going to bring in somebody that's talented, that doesn't need a lot. You don't need to say too much to him for him to be successful here. So I really like him. Chandler Morris. Now, this is a quarterback that, a long time ago was recruited by Lincoln Riley to the University of Oklahoma. Obviously, Oklahoma's had some crowded quarterback rooms. I think he was there with Spencer Rattler and, Caleb Williams that came in after. So he ended up transferring. Has had kind of a bumpy career. I mean, he's been this is his fourth different school. He transferred from Oklahoma to TCU, was a starter there, had put up some good numbers. Ends up getting hurt a couple seasons ago, which caused him to transfer again to North Texas to kind of really put up his resume and build his resume. Has a fantastic season at North Texas, puts up a ton of numbers, and then he transfers to Virginia now, to where he's going to be on a team that's kind of limited from a talent standpoint, but he is a talented quarterback if he can stay healthy. I mean, he's shown it that he, at TCU, flashes at Oklahoma, obviously last year in North Texas, that he can play at this level. But for some of the strengths I have for him, he's a great athlete, quick feet, good mobility. He has a ton of experience, as I just mentioned. He's battle tested, and he can make off-platform throws well. His weakness, obviously, is injury history and some of his durability. And then at times he can be inconsistent with ball placement in the deep ball. Now, like I said, discussion points. Can he revive his career? This is a make it or break it year. If he goes off, a good chance he gets drafted. If he doesn't play well, there's a good chance that he's kind of just a college quarterback who, had an okay career, right? So this is a very, very, very big year for him. Could be good if the system's right for him. Tommy Castellanos. Now, obviously, we have mentioned on the podcast, he has talked recently about him kind of, not being afraid of Alabama, this and that. Then you also have teammates coming out saying he quit on his team last year at Boston College. I don't really know the issue. I don't really know what happened with him, but I really do like his game. He is a smaller quarterback. I don't think his game will translate to the NFL just due to his size. He also doesn't have the elite athleticism as a quarterback like Kyler Murray or some of the other guys we've seen at that size be able to succeed in the NFL and, even in college, right? But high energy athlete. He has some twitch. He has some elusiveness, which should be a given just based off of his size, right? He's a good improviser. He extends plays. He's an instant spark plug when he's on the field. This is true. He's kind of like a gamer. Very Diego Pavia to me. I think Diego might be a little better as a quarterback, but similar build, similar size, right? So weaknesses, he's undersized, so obviously that can hurt him in pocket passing, and also he can get hurt, right? He needs more control of his mechanics. Some discussion points I have for him really is, how can he, get Florida State back on top or back to where they were at? I mean, this was a team who made the playoff or didn't make the playoffs, but should have made the playoffs a couple seasons ago. Didn't make the playoffs. They have a horrible year last year while taking a highly touted transfer. My ad, a 5-star DJ Uga and had a horrible season. So this is a big year for Norvell and also for Thomas Castellanos to not only transfer within conference, but you have ex teammates coming out and talking about the player he wasn't and things like that. So I really am interested in that. We got Kyron Drones at number 9. Elite athlete, physical runner. He has a strong arm, can make all the throws. He's tough, he's gritty. So weaknesses, inconsistent decision making and accuracy. He can be erratic under pressure at times. And, it's huge as well for him. You got Brent Pry there. I think this is his 3rd or 4th year. It's a big year for him. Virginia Tech was a school when I was growing up. They were very dominant under the under Beamer era. And this is a team that whenever it's rocking in Blacksburg, you got Enter Sandman on. This is a team that can be very, very hard to beat, especially at home. And this is a team that honestly, with their pipeline, with DC, with the talent in Virginia, even some of the talent in South, and Virginia Tech, for the most part, the last 30, 40 years being a pretty prominent national brand, this is a team that could easily, if they hit on all cylinders, could be an elite team, could be a great team. And they got a tough test early in South Carolina, who, a lot of people think has one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country, right? So, yeah, Kyron Drones, I think he's solid. We'll see if he can be that difference maker for Virginia Tech. But I got him at number 9 on this list. Number 8, CJ Bailey from North Carolina State. Some strengths, accurate, short to intermediate thrower, good mobility, and smart with the football. And he shows composure beyond his years. Some of his weaknesses on here: average arm strength, limits vertical passing game, still developing anticipation versus complex coverages. And some discussion points for him. Does he bring more stability than Brennan Armstrong ever did? I would hope so. Just because he, North Carolina State's been one of those teams, man, where they're very good in the ACC. They have a good defense. They do everything right. They, constantly, you look at the records, 8, 7, 8, 9 win seasons, yearly. The problem with North Carolina State is they haven't really had that elite talent to get them over the hump, to get them to becoming a perennial ACC champion, or if not a team. This is a team that's, I think a couple years ago, did they play Florida State a couple years ago in the conference championship? Or was that Louisville? I don't know. I know Florida State had played a couple. They might have played them. I don't know, but all in all, I think North Carolina State can be good. Maybe CJ Bailey is what gets them over the hump. Eli Holstein, good quarterback at Pitt. Transfer from Alabama a couple years ago, and is had a pretty good season last year at Pitt. Big arm, pro style tools, very, very NFL type of quarterback. Pocket poise and toughness do stand out for me. He's got a good IQ, and he can obviously run a complex offense. Some of the weaknesses, he's still kind of young, so that kind of, that shows in his game, especially on tape. Needs reps to improve timing and accuracy. But I think he can elevate Pitt even more. I got him at number 7. He's kind of middle of the pack QB, maybe a little bit above, slightly above average, but I think he's good. I think he's solid. Darian Mensah out of Duke, a dynamic runner with open field speed. Obviously, this is a quarterback that Duke spent a lot of money on. He just transferred out of Tulane. They paid a lot of money for this guy. Dynamic runner, open speed, aggressive, confident passer downfield. He has a high ceiling, and I do think he has a high ceiling. It's untapped. Last year, he played against Oklahoma. Didn't really do too much against us. Obviously, Oklahoma has a very good defense, but you could see the flashes. You could see what the ability would look like if he was playing around some more highly touted guys. I don't know how big of a difference between Duke and Tulane are roster-wise. I would assume, obviously, Duke's better. And Duke's been pretty solid with Manny Diaz. I mean, somebody said it was very, very, very good coaching job how they won, I think, 8 or 9 games last year with Malik Murphy at quarterback. So, obviously, Darian Mensah is an upgrade for them at quarterback. He could be the biggest wild card in this conference. I was actually talking to one of the boys within the team, and I was like, look, Duke at 6.5 on FanDuel. I'm not going to lie, that looked kind of nice. I think this is going to be a good team. I think they got a good roster, good defense, and Darian Mensah could be that person that kind of makes some things interesting in the ACC. Number 5, we got Miller Moss, transfer from USC. Now, if you would have watched him play against LSU last year, you would have thought, USC is back. This kid is going to be a potential in the Heisman race. At one point, there was arguments that he was the best quarterback in the Big Ten Conference. Very, very talented quarterback. He makes smart decisions. He has good mechanics. He's a good rhythm thrower and passer. Some of his weaknesses, he has a limited sample size, being starting play. Like, he's put up some performances where you're like, this kid is really damn good. I can see him being an NFL starter. Then you have games where, wondering why, you get benched at USC, right? Especially with you playing the way you were playing. But yeah, he needs to just prove he can play consistent football for a whole season. Louisville is a really good program for him. Jeff Brom is a quarterback whisperer. I mean, he develops quarterbacks at a high level. Very known for that. Obviously, he's known to be running a lot of screens and complex things like that. But yeah, I got Miller Moss at 5. Haynes King at number 4. Some strengths. Tough competitor with plus mobility, can stretch defenses with a deep ball with the deep ball and big playability as both a passer and a runner. Haynes King been in college for a long time. This is a quarterback that I think um, really Georgia Tech should be on the cusp of being talked about as a bubble playoff team. I mean, they took Georgia to 6 or 7 overtimes. They beat Florida State last year. They almost beat Miami last year. I mean, I think they almost or they did. I don't remember. I think they almost beat Miami, but all in all, this is a team that's competitive. It's a team that's got a lot of energy, in a nice recruiting footprint in Georgia, and also in Atlanta. So this is a team that has a lot of resources, and I think they're going to be really good. I think this is a team that I kind of have as a dark horse playoff team, dark horse ACC contender. It kind of matches where I got Haynes King at number 4 in the ACC. At number 3, I got Carson Beck. Look, I know there's a lot of people who are so high on Carson Beck. Report came out today. Got paid $6 million to go to the University of Miami. One, that's crazy money, but at the end of the day, if you think Georgia thought he was worth it, you think Georgia would have I think Georgia would have fronted the money and paid for him. But clearly they didn't think he was worth it. Clearly they liked what Gunnar Stockton had. I mean, there was reports when Gunnar Stockton got in, the team at Georgia was more behind him. And then obviously when Carson Beck goes to Miami, dating the Cavender twins, stuff with his car, this and that. Is his head in the right place? Is he mentally there? Is he locked in? Is he ready to take that step to be an elite quarterback in college and also potentially in NFL? Because when I look on tape, he's made big time throws all over the field. Again, the Alabama game, obviously he turns the ball over a lot, but a lot of that I can't really blame him. Georgia didn't really have capable receivers all over the field. They also didn't have the capable tight ends all over the field. So he did what he could with that offense. I think Georgia was one of the teams they led the SEC in drop passes or something crazy. So yeah. Pro ready frame. Obviously, we got to see how he adjust after his elbow injury. It was a crazy injury. That could be really detrimental to who he is, right? So he could be the most polished quarterback in the ACC. Could be a Heisman contender. I got him at number 3. Um, you know, Sometimes he doesn't have the elite mobility that can hinder him, and I think at times like that kind of is shown in his game. But he also has to cut down on the turnovers. But he's a good quarterback, and I think Miami could be a very good team if he can dial in the right things. At number 2, I got Kevin Jennings. Some strengths: explosive athlete with dual threat ability, efficient RPO operator, and a natural playmaker on the move. And he's confident, aggressive, and he throws with some aggression and some accuracy. And he's got a little swagger to him. I mean, he's not the biggest guy, but he's a very good quarterback, very good athlete. Um, yeah, some of the weaknesses: takes a little risk, as I was kind of saying in swagger. Um, and needs to show more consistency. So he's pretty underrated nationally. He could be a breakout dual threat. I mean, he was already a breakout dual threat, but he could be a potential Heisman contender. SMU was runner-ups in the ACC last year, made the playoffs as well last year, so they're going to be kind of hunted. There's going to be a team that people know who they are. He wasn't even the starter at the beginning of the year, so now people know who Kevin Jennings is. Can he live up to that hype and expectation? Last but not least, this one was pretty easy for me. Got Cade Klubnik, Austin's finest, at number 1 out of Clemson. I went to the game against Texas last year where he put up a crazy performance against one of the best secondaries and defenses in all of college football. I mean, he lit them up. He was throwing the 2 true freshman wide receivers, Trey Moore and Brian Wesco. And then obviously he has Antonio Williams, which another video in the future. I do think Clemson has the best wide receiver room in the country. But strong arm, talent, and quick release. This is a quarterback who's going to be a top 3 quarterback, I think, taken in this draft. Hopefully, has a lot of snaps. Has played a lot of football at Clemson. Just got to improve his decision making a little bit more. But I think we're going to see the best product of Cade Klubnik, the most polished version of him. Shows flashes of NFL level throws, especially off platform. And some of his weaknesses is he still struggles consistently under pressure. Needs to take a little bit fewer sacks and continue to elevate the offense around him. I think now they got some guys at wide receiver A lot of things in the past, Clemson hasn't had those guys anymore. But I think this year they got a full stable of guys that can go now. So I want to see him really take that next step, take that jump, and really put on. I mean, Clemson is a they're I think me and Carlos is over here at Opinionated Sports favorite to win the national title right now, early favorite. Todd McShay did a video. I mean, he said they got 13, 14, 15 draft eligible cats this year that he thinks are going to get drafted at a high level. Um, so some discussion points for him. Will he put it all together in year three and he's also with Garrett Riley, who they just hired. And then does he need a dominant season to solidify his NFL stock? And I don't think this is year three. I think it's year four for him. So does he need a dominant season to solidify his NFL stock? I don't think he needs a dominant season. However, I do think he needs a complete season. I think Clemson needs to make some noise in the playoffs, especially against some of the better caliber teams. I mean, when he played against South Carolina, they had a tremendous or a horrible loss to Louisville last year. They lost to Georgia last year, and then they also lost to Texas. Obviously, he played good against Texas, but I think you gotta when you're playing against some of these more talented rosters, and when your roster's talented, you gotta show up and win, especially when you've been a quarterback starter for so as long as he has, and also when you have the team, the experience around you. Yeah, that'll do it for the best ACC quarterbacks entering the 2025 season. This is the first episode of Off the Snap, so please let me know if you guys like this format. It's a different type of format that I want to bring over to Opinionated Sports. A lot of the times, we want to make some evergreen content, but don't really know the format of how to do that. Also, we got the podcast, so make sure you tap in for that. We're gonna be trying to record, I would say, 3 podcasts a week. We're gonna have couple virtual ones, that one being more of a news related, which is 54 yards, kind of current week, kind of preview the games and things like that. Or we might even say that too on Chips and Slips. Might preview some of the games on Chips and Slips. So that might be where we do that at. But also the morning after, the week after, where we instantly recap the games, kind of talk about what we saw and just some initial thoughts about those. And then we want to get a Twitter space going. So if you guys are on Twitter, on the Bird app, want to follow us, make sure to follow us at opinionated OPM_sports, or follow me at Big Bang with 2G's Theory. And just hit me up, leave me a question, whatever. Tweet at me. I'm an Oklahoma fan, so if you're in the comments talking crazy, like, let me know. I'm all about the chirping, just keep it respectful. But yeah, that'll do it, man. That'll do it for the first episode of Off the Snap. I'll see you guys next time. We will be previewing some more quarterbacks around the Power Four. Later.